letters.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So the TikTok ban happened and now a bunch of Americans are running to Rednote, also known as Xiaohongshu. And let's just say the culture shock is real. From ambulance fees to city comparison to the kindness of Chinese commenters, let's get into what people are saying on Rednote.
The Lihua letters. Oh my gosh.
Every new day on the Chinese Rednote app brings a wave of surprises for Americans, revealing a side of China that feels both unexpected and deeply human. Among the most heartwarming discoveries are the Lihua letters, which have touched countless American hearts.
Y'all, I am on this app just boohoo crying because, what is going on is so amazing. Chinese people, y'all wrote pen pal letters and we're finally responding 20 years later, 10 years later, whatever. We used to dig holes to get to China.
These letters, written by Chinese students as part of a government initiative to connect them to the English-speaking world, were a heartfelt part of their English lessons, a creative way to foster a sense of global connection and understanding. Tragically, this innocent bridge of communication was overshadowed by propaganda that painted a divisive picture, erecting dark imaginary walls in the minds of many Americans through media narratives. For years, these heartfelt letters remained a hidden treasure, never reaching the eyes they were intended for. Now, through the Rednote app, this moment of truth has finally emerged, breaking through the barriers of misunderstanding. The letters, filled with curiosity, longing, and hope, are melting hearts as people realize the beauty and humanity behind the stories. It's a powerful reminder that even in a world divided by perceptions, the simple act of writing can carry an unspoken plea for connection. And now, those connections are finally being made.
To all TikTok refugees and our foreign friends, you might have felt the welcoming atmosphere on Rednote here, and you may also have seen comments like, "Finally, Li Hua got his letter back." Let me quickly explain what this means and why all Chinese people are so eager to talk to you all. There's a story behind this. Chinese schooling is very tough. And back in the school years, most of us were kind of scared of English exams. And there was always this short essay question on almost every exam. It usually start with something like, assume that you're Li Hua, a grade 12 student writing to your foreign pen pal, Peter, Sarah, or Jennifer, to introduce cuisines in your hometown, invite them to travel in China, or something random like that. We spent years playing the role of Li Hua, writing thousands of essays in exams and test prep sessions. But honestly, we all questioned it at some point. Where is this foreign friend? I don't even know anyone named Sarah or Mike. Why am I doing this? There's no way I will ever need to write to a foreign friend like this in real life, right? China has sometimes felt isolated because of geopolitical issues. Foreigners don't visit China as much as they visit other Asian countries like Japan, Korea, or Thailand. Most of us rarely had the chance to speak with foreigners, and many people just assume they'd forget all the English they learned after college anyways. So what was the point of writing hundreds and thousands of fake English letters to an imaginary friend? Then one day in January 2025, after writing letters to an imaginary pen pal and never getting anything back for 10 years, we finally got a real letter back from you guys on Rednote. You're like Li Hua's pen pal finally coming to life. It feels magical. We never imagined people from the other side of the world could actually hear us and get to know us. We have been living in our own little Chinese internet bubble for so long. It's been fun, but we're missing something. And now that you are here, you make us feel like the world is actually connected. We want to share everything with you, our cats, our dogs, our jokes, our lives. You know, in Chinese, the internet is called 互联网, which literally means a net that connects everyone. And I think that's probably what the internet was always meant to be. I've seen lots of TikTok refugees posting things like, thanks for hosting us and being so nice to us recently. But we also want to say thank you. Thank you for coming over, trying to post in our language, talking to us, interacting with everyone. It makes us feel like we're not alone in this world. After all, we're all human. And deep down, humans are more alike than we're different.
We're seeing it come to life in the most touching way. After decades of writing letters to her imagined friend in the West, Li Hua is finally receiving heartfelt responses from Americans. These replies are pouring in, filled with emotion, understanding, and a longing to bridge the gaps created by years of distance and misconceptions. It's a moment that feels almost magical, watching humanity reconnect in the simplest yet most powerful way, through words that carry the weight of shared dreams and empathy. Americans, deeply moved by Li Hua's letters, are responding with their own, creating an exchange of kindness and hope that transcends borders. What a beautiful time to witness humanity embracing one another, tearing down barriers of misunderstanding, and coming together as one. This is the world we long for, a world without walls, without divisions, where our similarities shine brighter than our differences.
Dear Li Hua, hello, my name is Sarah, and I am so happy to finally write to you. Being able to finally connect with you feels like a miracle. When I was a child, I tried to find you. I dug holes in the ground in my backyard, wholeheartedly believing that if I dug deep enough, I could reach China. Back then, I held my shovel full of hope and curiosity about you and your life. I don't believe the idea of digging to find you was a coincidence. I believe that my heart heard your heart calling out for me through your letters. As I got older, the adults around me said that your country was my enemy. And if I got too close, you would try to hurt me. The day I realized those words meant that I had to put my shovel away, I cried. To me, it wasn't the end of a child's dream, but a deeper sadness I could not understand. Even so, I have never let go of that dream, to be connected to you. I've always believed that no matter the time, distance, or cultural differences, that we are not enemies in our hearts. And today I can finally pick up my shovel again, this time through words, and bridge the gap to say ni hao. Life in America is rich and colorful, but we're also chaotic and sad. Most days we are too busy to enjoy the lives that we work so hard to build. Other days are filled with the warmth of family and friends. I like to cherish the simple moments and special occasions because there are so few. Now that your letter has arrived, the chance to know you brings a deep meaning to my life and adds more moments for me to celebrate. A wise person once said, "We are all visitors to this time, this place. We are just passing through. Our purpose is to observe, to grow, to learn, to love, and then we return home. Please don't stop writing me. I want to know everything about your life and your dreams. I hope my letter makes it back across the ocean to you and marks the start of a meaningful friendship. I can't wait to hear back from you. Your American friend, Sarah.
In a world that often feels divided, stories like these remind us of the power of connection and understanding. It's incredible to see how simple acts, like exchanging letters, can break down walls and bring us closer together. What are your thoughts on this beautiful exchange of humanity? We'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. If this story moved you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Trend Feed for more inspiring stories that showcase the beauty of our world. Let's keep the conversation going and continue building a world where barriers are replaced with bridges.
Gentlemen, welcome to Shanghai. Step into China's world of advanced transportation and stunning architecture. Join me as we explore Shanghai's vibrant cityscape under the evening lights.
So when I said that New York City needs another competitive city, a city that's really going to run New York City for its money, people got mad at me and was like, oh, clearly you haven't been to other cities in the U.S. Actually, I've been to many and they don't come close to it. Now that we are all running to Rednote as Americans from TikTok, you see many Americans in the comments just like, oh my God, the U.S. could never, the U.S. could never. Of course we can't. That's literally what I was trying to say. Look at this. This is Shanghai. Shanghai. Most of Chinese cities are so far advanced in comparison to American cities. Now y'all understand what I was trying to say.
Do you really have to pay for ambulance, or is that just propaganda from our country? Was a comment in the Rednote app I saw a post about, and I have a story about it. I used to have a friend that lived a couple streets over, and she calls me and she's like, where are you? Can you come here? And I was with another friend. I'm like, yeah, I'm right here by my house. We're about to leave. I'll come by. So I drive by, and one of her neighbors was mowing his lawn and had fell, an older gentleman, and he was refusing to call the ambulance. Mind you, his house is worth well over $1 million, but it's the original house. It hasn't been touched since the 1960s when it was originally bought. He did not, I think his wife had passed. He did not have any kids. His friend, he had somehow told his friend, and his friend was able to get there to drive him to the hospital, but he needed help getting into the car. So there's 3 of us women. This man is over 6 feet tall. He wasn't like a large build, but he's on the ground, and it was not easy. And we ended up having to go inside and grabbing a chair and then getting him to be able to go up onto the chair and then transition over to the car. He was in so much pain. However, he was insisting that he was not going to take the ambulance. I think that had happened before, and it was like insanely expensive. He never ended up coming back. I think he had broken his hip and probably had surgery and then went into a rehabilitation center. But eventually you saw the house getting completely remodeled and going up for sale. So I think what happened, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong of exactly how this works, is they essentially take over the house and sell it to then pay for his care. But yeah, we pay for ambulance here in America.
Okay, this is my first TikTok video since the ban was enacted and this pet cemetery version of TikTok is back. And I'm only here because not only have I stayed on Xiaohongshu, which is Rednote or Redbook, but I'm like active on there. And I want to show you guys the difference between Xiaohongshu and TikTok. I have a video on there that's starting to go viral. I guess, I don't know, even by their standards, but it has 25,000 views and I have almost 1,000 comments. Do you want to guess how many of those comments are negative or shitty or like just snotty? Not one. Not one single comment is anyone being anything but supportive and encouraging and kind, and like every single comment is positive. That's why I'm staying there. That's why I'm not here. Because I put a video up of one of my dogs and there'll be 6 comments and one of them will be shitty because people in North America are fucking shitty. So yeah, I may occasionally pop over here to watch videos, but I'm done with this toxic waste dump of a fucking app. So see you on Xiaohongshu.
The Chinese said that Americans are not free because the American TikTok refugees asked the Chinese, what stereotypes do you have about us? And I'm thinking they're going to say like we're fat and we like junk food. No. They said that we think that we are free, but we are not, that we live under an oligarchy and that we essentially live in a corporation.
So like many other Americans, I too went on Rednote during the like 18-hour TikTok ban. First of all, the Rednote ban was the single funniest thing I think we did as a user population. Whoever came up with that is a genius. I don't know how that spread like wildfire, but 10 out of 10. And I'm gonna stay even if TikTok doesn't get banned in America. The reason I'm keeping it is because I didn't realize how centered American media was on social media platforms. Like I knew it was dominated in TV, right? We hear about that a lot, but I didn't realize how much that extended to platforms like TikTok. I just thought it was because I was in America and so I saw a lot of American content because, you know, my geolocation. But when I went on Rednote, I realized how much American media dominates the TikTok app specifically. Because when we left, there was like this whole joke about Americans leaving, right? And timelines being like boring or dry or whatever. And like, of course I'm an American, so like I hear this through the American lens. But I didn't realize like how much other countries didn't want us to go in some ways. But I do think that it's good in that it leveraged other countries' media. Like it's only once in a while that I'll see like an Irish creator or a UK creator or a Kenyan creator. We want that content too as Americans, especially because we are so insulated in our own like American media bubble, and obviously that's becoming more and more the case because this app works a lot differently than it used to for us in terms of the content that we're shown. And I wish that it was more evenly distributed. Like I want to stay on Rednote because I see how other people live and how healthy they eat and how stable they are and how much less stress it seems like they have in other countries, to the point where America is just like a television show to them. Like it's our lives, right? Like it is scary, but I could see how from other countries' perspectives, you're just like sitting there with your popcorn, like what is going to happen to this country who has been so subject to like modern day propaganda, and it's become so much of an issue that we're descending into fascism by way of gradual oligarchy. Just sitting there and be like, wow, like, you know, this young country is really kind of imploding. Anyway, all this to say, I like Rednote. I'm gonna stay. I've learned so many like hot tea recipes and like beauty secrets, and I like seeing what they eat. Like I've made a couple recipes and it's super fun, and I wish that we had like more of a global platform. I think TikTok was supposed to be that, and it is in some ways, but a lot of countries don't have access to TikTok. I wish there was something that had evenly distributed media across different countries so that we could really talk to each other in a way that was not so insulated. Anyway, I like it. I'm staying.
I never thought that this would happen in my lifetime, but here we are. Americans, they're becoming awake. When you've been told all your life that your country is the best, your country is the best, your country is the best, and TikTok has put a mirror before you and showed you that your country is not the best. You're not living in a first world country like your government and your media that has kept you in this bubble that has separated you from the truth in the world. You're living in a third world country. Americans are starting to understand that they are not the best. They are seeing through TikTok what the world really looks like. They're starting to understand that actually the world is a way more beautiful place than America. They're starting to understand that their healthcare system is shit, their infrastructure is shit, their government is run by corporations, Biden paid for. In your lifetime, you will probably never own a house outright. And I can go on and on and on. And make it worse now, because of the TikTok ban, you have been forced to migrate to Rednote. And you're understanding that the Chinese are not your enemy. And how they live is so much more amazing than you could ever dream in your life to live. You're starting to understand that Africans own their houses outright. The world is a beautiful place. And what you have, what you've been told for your whole life, is a lie. Your country is not the best. Your country is actually a third world country. Google it. Google the infrastructure of Europe. Google the infrastructure of China. And then Google the infrastructure of America. It's falling apart around you. As I speak right now, you're tired, you're worn out, you're depressed, mental health issues can't get ahead. Everything around you is crumbling. No paid leave, no pregnancy leave. I mean, I can go on and on. What they've told you for all your life is a lie. And I'm so happy. I did never think it would happen in my lifetime that you would have an opportunity to realize this. It is not the best. There are beautiful countries out there. China is not your enemy. Africa is not your enemy. Cuba is not your enemy. Everything they told you is a lie. We are all connected. Don't let them separate you anymore. I am happy that you're awake. I'm happy that you're seeing that there's another world out there. A world that they never told you about. And when they told you about it, it was always to put themselves in a better light. That is the truth. And I'm happy that you're seeing the truth.
To see how the TikTok ban has pushed so many Americans onto Rednote. And what is even crazier is how much of a culture shock they are experiencing. It's like for the first time people are stepping outside the US media bubbling and realizing, wait, maybe everything we were told about other countries isn't exactly true. And now we are seeing comment after comment from Americans who are confused, shocked, or even frustrated at the reality check they are getting. First, let's talk about the ambulance thing. This is such a basic example of how different life is outside the US, and the fact that people had to ask if it was propaganda just shows how little Americans actually know about other healthcare systems. Like yes, in the US, calling an ambulance is expensive. Depending on where you are, it could be anywhere from $500 to thousands of dollars, and that is not even considering insurance, deductibles, or the fact that many people still get surprise bills even when they think they are covered. Meanwhile, in places like China, Canada, and the UK, and the most of Europe, calling an ambulance is just free. Because, of course, it's an emergency service. The fact that people in China had to ask if it was true says a lot. They genuinely thought there is no way that could be real. Surely no country would charge people just to help in an emergency. And that is the moment when Americans on Rednote started realizing that maybe, just maybe, US healthcare isn't normal. Then there is the whole city infrastructure conversation, and this one really exposes everything Americans have been in denial about for a long time. Because the truth is, the US likes to act like it has the most advanced cities in the world. But do we? New York is constantly held as this global metropolis. But when you actually compare it to places like Shanghai, Shenzhen, or even Singapore, it's clear that it's fallen way behind. We are talking about cities with high-speed rail networks, ultra-efficient public transit, model architectures, and urban planning that makes sense. Meanwhile, in New York, people are still dealing with unreliable subways, overpriced apartments, and streets that smells like trash. The person who made that comment about NYC needing real competition wasn't wrong. The reason America are freaking out on Rednote is because they are seeing probably for the first time just how far behind the US really is in infrastructure. For years, people dismissed this comparison, saying, oh, but America has freedom, or our cities have history. But now, with Americans actively using Rednote and seeing real footage of what cities like Shanghai looks like, there is no denying it anymore. You can literally see the difference. But the part that really gets me is the way people are reacting to the difference in the comment section. The idea that you could post something on Rednote, get thousands of views, and have zero negative comments, that is unheard of on Western social media. And it makes you wonder, why is the internet so toxic in America? Because people have been conditioned to think that this is just how social media works. Constant negativity, trolling, hate comments, people looking for any reason to argue. But what if that is not normal? What if that is just an American problem? One of the people who posted about this basically said they were done with TikTok because of how toxic it is. They talked about posting a simple video of their dog and still getting rude comments. And honestly, that tracks because of on American social media, even the most harmless content can turn into a battleground. You could post a video about baking a cake and someone will find a way to be mad about it. Meanwhile, over on Rednote, people are actually kind. They support each other. They are thoughtful in discussion. So now Americans are realizing something that a lot of people outside the US already knew. American social media is a mess. The negativity isn't just something that happens online. It's a reflection of how American culture itself has been shaped. And then we get to the moment that really made people stop and think. When Chinese users told Americans that they wasn't free. Now let's be real, if you grew up in the US, you have been told your entire life that America is the freest country in the world. Every politician, every school, every piece of patriotic media reinforce this idea. But what happens when Americans actually step outside that narrative and hear what the rest of the world thinks? Because that is exactly what's happening on Rednote. Americans are asking Chinese people, what stereotype do you have about us? And instead of hearing the usual jokes about fast food or gun violence, they are hearing something way deeper. Something that actually challenges their entire worldview. And the crazy part, people on Rednote hasn't just throwing out baseless insults. They are pointing out specific things like how Americans are forced to work multiple jobs just to afford healthcare, or how people in the US are dwelling in student loan debt just to get an education, or how the government controls so many aspects of their lives while telling them they are free. And now Americans are breaking down in the comments because for the first time they are questioning what they were always told about their own country. The question now is, what is next? Are Americans going to stay on red notes? Will they keep exploring outside their bubbling, or is this just a temporary reaction to the TikTok ban? Because let's be honest, there is a reason American social media companies don't want people looking too closely at how the rest of the world operates. There's a reason certain narratives are pushed so hard in the US. If more Americans actually took the time to engage with people from other countries to see how different life can be elsewhere, to compare instead of just accepting what they have been told, things might actually start changing. And maybe that is why TikTok had to go. Maybe that is why there is always so much effort to control the flow of information. Because the moment Americans start seeing the cracks in the system, the moment they start asking real questions, the moment they stop just blindly believing in the American dream, well, that is when things start getting dangerous for the people in the power. So yeah, this whole Red Note situation is way deeper than just a social media app. It's exposing something way bigger, way more important, and whether Americans realize it or not, this could be the state of a massive shift in how they see the world and themselves. Thank you for watching, and let's continue this conversation in the comments below. Let us share our thoughts and perspective with one another. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on this story and more.